In December 1948, on Somerton Beach near Adelaide, Australia, the body of a well-dressed man was discovered lying in the sand with his head resting against a seawall. His legs were neatly crossed, and his hands were by his sides, as if he had simply fallen asleep on the beach. There were no signs of violence, no identification, and no indication of medical distress. The man appeared calm and peaceful. Police quickly learned that nobody in the area recognized him. No wallet, no passport, no labels on his clothing, and no personal belongings were found. In fact, every clothing label had been deliberately removed, a detail that immediately elevated the mystery. The man had been dressed sharply, polished shoes, pressed trousers, and a clean shirt. Yet he was a complete stranger with no traceable identity. Authorities carefully examined the body but found nothing obvious. There were no gunshot wounds, no knife injuries, and no trauma marks. Toxicologists suspected poisoning, perhaps a rare or untraceable substance, but they could not identify anything conclusive. Entire shipments of chemicals were tested. None offered a match. The cause of death officially remained unknown. Soon after the discovery, the man's fingerprints were compared across national, criminal, and military databases, but there were no matches anywhere. His dental records also failed to align with any known individuals in Australia or abroad. The more investigators searched, the less existed about this man's origins. A strange clue arrived when a pathologist examined the man's suitcase, which appeared at Adelaide railway station around the time of the man's death. The suitcase contained everyday clothing, grooming items, and a few tools. Yet once again, every clothing label had been cut off. The suitcase contained nothing that could reveal a name, address, or history. Whoever this man was, he did not want to be identified. Months later, investigators made their most shocking discovery. Hidden inside a concealed pocket of the man's trousers was a tightly rolled piece of paper with two printed words, Tamám Shud. The words translate to, "It is finished," or "The End," taken from a Persian poetry collection called The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The paper had been torn from a copy of the book, not handwritten, not noted, but surgically removed from a published edition. Police eventually located a copy of the same book from a car in Adelaide that mysteriously appeared around the time of the death. Inside this edition was a tear that matched the missing paper exactly. This meant the torn page in the man's pocket had come from this specific copy. On the inside of the book were faint pencil markings, a series of seemingly random letters arranged into 5 lines. Many cryptographers believe the sequence may be a cipher. Some suggest it was communication, others think it was a coded message related to espionage or personal relationships. To this day, no one has decoded it with full certainty, and arguments continue as to whether the letters represented a genuine code or merely fragmented shorthand. The book also contained a phone number belonging to a nurse who lived nearby, named Jessica Thompson. When approached by police, she acted unusually uncomfortable, insisting she did not want to be identified publicly. According to investigators present at the time, when she was shown the dead man's face, she visibly reacted with shock. Yet she denied knowing him. Her reaction remains one of the most discussed elements of the case. The nurse later stated that she had once owned a copy of the Rubaiyat, but said she had given it to a soldier during the war and had never seen it again. Whether this detail is connected or coincidence remains debated. Jessica had a child whose unique dental and ear features closely resembled those of the Somerton Man. Some researchers now believe that the Somerton Man may have been the boy's biological father, though this theory was not provable at the time. Later DNA research strongly supported the idea that Jessica's son and the Somerton Man shared genetic markers, but not enough data existed to make a legally definitive announcement. Decades later, investigators examined the posture of the man's body, the condition of his organs, and the possibility that he had been administered a rare poison that left no trace. Some poisons available in that era degraded rapidly in the bloodstream, making detection extremely difficult. If poisoning occurred, The killer may have been skilled enough to use a substance that disappeared by the time of autopsy. A second line of inquiry began to develop: espionage. In the late 1940s, Australia was a highly active region for intelligence agencies, especially during post-war geopolitical transitions. Port cities were strategic points for surveillance, and both Soviet and Western agencies were known to operate in the region. Multiple factors suggested a covert background: lack of identification, clothing labels, removed intelligence-style suitcase code. Like text in the poetry book Untraceable Cause of Death, possible surveillance behaviors, Jessica's discomfort and secrecy. While not proven, the espionage theory became one of the strongest enduring explanations. Some experts propose the Somerton Man was involved in intelligence or counterintelligence work and was eliminated covertly. His identification would have compromised operations or personnel, thus, a complete erasure made sense. Poison without trace, labels removed, no documents, and no public explanation, all consistent with intelligence-style termination. Years later, a plaster bust of the Somerton Man was made before burial, allowing future investigators to study his physical characteristics even after exhumation. Despite decades of research, no one came forward claiming to know him. No relatives filed inquiries. No wartime comrades recognized the face. In 2022, one of the most significant breakthroughs occurred. DNA extracted from hair preserved on the plaster bust was used for advanced genealogical analysis. After thousands of DNA comparisons and family tree reconstructions, a highly probable identity emerged: Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker from Melbourne. He disappeared from public record without clear explanation. However, the conclusion remains complex. Even if the Somerton Man was Charles Webb, critical elements stay unsolved. Why was he in Adelaide? Why were labels removed from his clothing? Why did he possess a hidden cipher and a torn page? Why was his death untraceable? Why did Jessica react as if she recognized him but refused acknowledgement? His possible identity does not answer the deeper mystery. It only expands it. The Somerton Man case endures because it touches every domain at once: romance, espionage, cryptography, poisoning, hidden relationships, and lost identity. It is a human mystery, not simply a crime scene. For over 7 decades, investigators, journalists, cryptographers, genealogists, and amateur detectives have contributed new theories. Some emphasize espionage roots, others point to a secret affair, and still others consider the possibility of staged disappearance, mental decline, or personal tragedy. The few facts are haunting: a calm body on a quiet beach, a page that reads, "It is finished," a cipher without solution, a nurse visibly shocked, and a death without wound. Who was the Somerton Man really? A spy eliminated by unknown agencies? A heartbroken lover ending his life? A silent observer caught in secrets no one could publish? Or a man who carried a story that nobody living today will ever fully understand? What do you believe happened?